Hey, this is Philippe with Fontana Forni. Today we're going to look at a natural gas conversion kit for your oven, the components, and how to do the actual conversion for your Margherita or Mangiafuoco gas oven. Let's take a look. Disclaimer, this conversion should be performed by a certified gas technician, not by the end user. If you purchased your Fontana oven as a natural gas oven, it will have come with a natural gas conversion kit. We're now going to talk about the components that come in this natural gas conversion kit. Firstly, you have your instructions packet. This will outline all of the items that come with the kit, as well as tools necessary to perform the conversion. Here's the natural gas hose. It's a 10-foot hose specifically made for natural gas fuel. Attached to the natural gas hose is this quick connect fitting. This hooks up to the source of natural gas, and this end allows you to quickly connect and disconnect your natural gas hose. Here we have our inline regulator. This regulator has an arrow installed so that you can see which direction gas should flow. In this case, the gas comes in this end and then goes out that end towards the burner. Here we have a 3/8 male-to-male fitting. Lastly, and most importantly, is the natural gas orifice. All Fontana ovens are pre-installed with a propane orifice. If you're switching to natural gas, you must switch out to this orifice. Here we're looking at both orifices. This is the propane orifice. It has 180 inscribed on it. This is the new natural gas orifice. 280 is inscribed on top of that. You can distinctly see the difference in diameter of the hole from which the gas will flow. When converting your oven to natural gas, you will need to follow these steps. The first step is the removal of the NPT SAE adapter. You will notice that there's some Loctite that's pre-installed between the valve and the adapter. In order to remove it, you may need to apply a little bit of heat to loosen it up. In order to remove the adapter, you use two adjustable wrenches. One would be attached to the body of the valve. The other is attached to the adapter itself. Once that heat has been applied, turning counterclockwise should loosen up the adapter itself so that you can remove it. This is the first step of the entire process. Now that our adapter has been removed, we need to replace this NPT SAE with our double 3/8 NPT. You will need to attach Teflon tape to both sides of this threaded adapter. Once those have been installed, you simply attach it to the valve and then move on to the following component. The next component to be attached to the assembly is the regulator. You will notice that your regulator has an arrow on it. This arrow is pointing in direction of gas flow from the source to the valve. With the adapter Teflon taped, simply attach the regulator in place. Once the regulator has been installed properly, find the previously removed 3/8 NPT to SAE adapter. The NPT portion, non-flared, will be attached to the regulator. Apply some Teflon tape and then screw onto and secure to the regulator. Now that your NPT to SAE adapter has been installed properly up against the regulator, you simply take your natural gas hose, screw it onto the flared fitting, and this requires no Teflon tape because it is a flared fitting. The final component on this line is the installation of the quick connect. This is hooked up to the gas supply via the threaded end, and the quick connect attaches very simply to the end of the hose. This way you can easily connect and disconnect without any issues. Moving on with the conversion with the removal of the propane orifice and replacement with a natural gas orifice. To reorient ourselves with what we're looking at, this is the burner. The bottom of the oven would be right here. The burner itself would be inside the chamber of the oven, and this is as if we were looking from the left-hand side of the unit. The box is here merely for demonstration purposes. In order to remove this orifice, simply take a pair of pliers, attach them to the orifice, which is a hex head, and slightly move counterclockwise. It is not very tight, and once it's loose, you can simply remove them by hand. This propane orifice has a 180 engraved on the top. That way you know this is a propane orifice. You may discard this if you never plan on moving over to propane, or save it for a later date because you already have the propane hose. Moving on to the installation of the natural gas orifice. Once again, this has a 280 engraved on the top. Simply thread it into the assembly in place of the propane orifice. There is no Teflon tape required, and merely having it hand tightened in place will suffice. Now that we've converted over to natural gas orifice, some small adjustments will need to be made to the venturi sleeve. In order to have proper combustion, you need to have the proper ratio of gas to oxygen. What you're shooting for is a mostly blue flame. Here we have a set screw holding the venturi collar in place. Simply loosen the set screw, and it will be able to slide back and forth easily. The process for adjustment is this. Start the oven and make sure that the flame is continuously flowing. While the oven is running, reach under the unit and pull the sleeve closer to or further away from the orifice. By doing so, you're varying the amount of oxygen that is pulled in with the gas. Once you've found the proper flame size and color by the positioning of the sleeve, simply tighten the set screw and you're done. Now we're going to talk about our valve. This one has been disassembled from the oven so that you can familiarize yourself with the components. To orient yourself with this would be installed at the front of the oven, this would be the right-hand side, and this would be the center. Your gas adjustment knob will have the knob on the outside of the unit, and this allows you to regulate gas flow to the burner itself. The gas will flow from this fitting through a hose to the burner. Here we have our thermocouple. The thermocouple is a safety mechanism that is installed to prevent any gas from flowing if for whatever reason your flame were to go out. This is installed on the burner itself. Finally, we have our attachment for the fuel source. This is a 3/8 NPT to 3/8 flared SAE fitting. Provided with your oven is this propane hose. Simply attach the propane hose to the burner itself and then to a 20-pound propane tank. This hose has an inline regulator. All Fontana ovens have been pre-tested in the factory for use with propane. You are now ready to use your oven. Now we're going to take a look at the burner itself, along with the rest of its components. This is from the rear of the burner. Normally you'd be looking from the front of the oven, looking into the oven in this direction. On the rear you can see we have an assembly that slides up and down that houses both the thermocouple and the impact igniter. The purpose of the thermocouple is to maintain gas flow as long as there is an active flame. The purpose of the impact igniter is to generate a current and then ground itself onto this grounding plate, generating a spark to start the fire. If this impact igniter is not set in the proper orientation, slightly bent forward towards the impact plate, then it will not produce a spark. If instead the thermocouple is too high or too low, it will not make proper contact with the flame and therefore thinks that the flame is not on, which will stop gas flow as soon as you release the knob. Basic placement of these is of the utmost importance. The impact igniter itself should be parallel with the grounding plate. The thermocouple instead should be about 1/4 of an inch above the grounding plate. This is optimal placement for you to have proper contact for current and for contact with the flame. If you do not have proper contact with either of these two components, you may need to adjust it. You do so by reaching underneath the unit where there is a metal band that attaches itself to the burner itself and wraps around these two wires. Once that is loosened, you should have enough slack from the inside to pull the assembly up or push it down so that it makes proper contact both with the grounding plate and with the flame itself.